Okay. Hopefully that fixed that. I've been having issues with the old Rodecaster Pro 2. So just let us know, please, that has rectified or rectified the sound issue that we had. Yes.
So if you can hear us properly.
Yes, let us know.
And what we say, let us know in the fucking chat.
Yes.
Carnivore sabotaged the audio.
Bloody Ted again, fiddling around down there.
Okay, so it's good now.
Rightio, that fixed it. Good. Okay.
Fucking finally.
Apologies for that. I've been having trouble with this fucking thing. Ted, I mean.
Right, shall we try this question again then?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll start with that one.
Right. The answer to that question was almost certainly not. Fasting for an extended period of time can damage your metabolism, and it can take a long time to get that back. It's very much case by case. I'd need to sit down with you, talk through your history, and we'd make a decision on your approach going forward. That way, consults at the link under the video in the show notes.
Show notes.
Show notes, show notes, roly-poly show notes. No singing.
And remember, if you post questions, what should I do?
Oh yes, if you post a question, you should go capital Q : then type your question and suffix it with a question mark. That way Ted, His Royal Tedness, will be able to find those questions, pass them on to Her Royal Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates, Mother of Puppies the Unpoked, the Question Master, or Mistress.
Yes.
The Masteress. Well, the other noise you might be able to hear is rain, because it's pissing down. Can't do anything about that. Right. Good.
Now, this two-part question again.
Yes, two parts questions.
Since I have a lot of belly fat, why can't I just fast till I lose it all? Can't it then recover my lean body mass and metabolism? 2. What exactly is insulin and ketosis role in fat loss storage? Right,
so the first one I really kind of already answered, and the second one is that insulin is thought about as a storage hormone. If you like to think of it as either storage or usage hormones, it's more storage than usage. And there's a lot of nuance around insulin and stuff, and a lot of silly ideas around insulin floating around, whatever. And ketosis doesn't really have a role in fat loss per se, except that it is the use of fat to provide acetyl units for coenzyme A to use downstream somewhere else in the body. So ketones are the product of the breakdown of, well, the break off, the cleavage of acetyl units off the end of fatty acid chains. Some people also say ketones in and of themselves are anti-inflammatory. Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Do you have an opinion on that, Your Royal Pimness?
No, I was looking
no
for
opinions.
pictures.
Yes. Good, see, that's how royal people should be. No opinion. See how that's done? Yeah. Also, people who are not elected to office should probably not be talking about how to run countries and things, should they? Or responses to anything of any kind.
However, I do have one opinion here.
Oh, do you?
And it's for Flame One who asked this question, because he asked it again later. Please just ask the question once.
Oh, yes, only once.
Otherwise, I'll have to read through many questions that I already read through.
And Ted gets
really
pissed off.
We'll get to the questions unless we get close to our ending time and we have too many questions, then I will skip some. So if you're here early and ask your questions early, you will definitely get them answered. Or you can put in a super chat and you will 100% get it answered quickly.
There you go, there's a super chat.
Yes, very good. So who's super chatting New Zealand dollars?
Super chat, super duper chat. No fucking singing.
I am a centre-left voter here in New Zealand, where I absolutely hate the New Zealand left parties. Hate of farmers.
Yeah.
They don't understand how our grass-fed beef pastures actually helps the land and reduces carbon footprint rather than adds to it. Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
Fair play.
So how can we punish them?
Well, we did. We voted them out.
Did that help?
Well, to some degree, except that most people don't understand that the two major centrist parties in New Zealand are really just either wing of the same bird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have too much kefir in my mouth. Can't speak. Why is the dog staring at me? It's distracting.
Because she wants...
Yes, I know. I know what she wants.
Snoozy.
Come here then.
Oh, don't bonk your head on the table. Because that would be uncool.
Oh, yes. Careful.
There you go, like that.
Yeah, but at least she didn't jump up into
Here's the royal hound.
Okay, just sit down and be cool.
It's a royal snooziness.
Okay.
A snooze.
Yes.
Look at the state of your
She needs a
doings
haircut.
here. What's going on here?
Yes, okay, so
Very
question.
unkempt. Yes, question.
12-year-old daughter having leg pain. Keto for 5 years. Pain was there before keto and blood work is fine. Can a small amount of veggies be the cause?
Possibly if there is an oxalate issue or something similar related to that. Hard to know without actually doing my own assessment, which would be impossible because you're there and I'm here, wherever there is. Yes, in short, absolutely it's possible. You sure it's not just growing pains? When epiphyseal plates and things start shifting and bones start lengthening, there can be periods of unexplained random pains in various areas. Could be that. Blood work, usually a waste of time on most issues anyway. Thank you, Roxana. Appreciate it.
Okay.
We like to put an effort in, some of us, don't we? We love it.
Rude.
Huh?
Rude.
Well, I'm talking about Snoozy. She hasn't dressed up at all. That's really a very poor effort, Snooze.
Yes.
Yes, what's next?
Yes, I was bullied into putting this shit
and Roxana and I did a collaborative interview during the week, and as soon as I've got it edited, you'll see it. Plus, I think she's got her own copy. If I didn't send that to you, let me know and I'll send it to you. I'm just a bit behind on editing because we're doing a transitional thing with taking on an editor and working through issues and getting it all the way we want it and stuff. Including the music goes. No more music in the main part of the video.
I like how how positive your viewers are. Interesting sound.
Yes.
We can't hear a thing. I love it.
Dear, oh dear.
And I feel like I just smoked DMT.
Salt is rock.
Yes. How much protein can we absorb in one meal? I'm trying to eat only meat once a day, about 600 grams. Is it a good idea? I'm 184 centimeters tall. I weigh 80 kilos. I train mostly weighted calisthenics.
So, meat 600 grams is going to be about 150 grams of protein, give or take. That might be slightly under for an 80 kilogram person. I'm assuming you're quite slim at 184 centimeters. Train mostly weighted calisthenics, good stuff. Look, it really depends how do you feel. Is there any symptomology or any reason for you to expect in any way, shape or form that you're protein deficient or over? What's your blood glucose doing, if anything? How do you feel? How's your energy? All those kind of questions, really. How much can you absorb in one meal? It used to be thought that there was some kind of limitation on that, and people were throwing around silly numbers like, oh, you can only absorb 40 grams a meal or something like that. Turns out that's completely false, and it was always false because it never made any sense in the first place. What happens is you put protein in your body, your stomach acid breaks it down into amino acids or branched chain amino acids, peptides in some cases, and then they are used for purpose immediately or later, whatever that purpose may be. So why one would think there's a limit to how much protein can be absorbed, I have no idea. Because no such thing applies for carbohydrate or fat, does it? So why would it for protein? Something's amusing, your highness.
I'm just reading the chat.
Yes, good. I'm glad you're enjoying the chat.
What
good.
the fuck? A cow went into the speakers.
A cow.
This is awesome.
Biggest dickus. It's my friend Biggest Dickus.
It just gets so much worse. I
You
love it.
wowdy wabble. Do you think it's amusing that my friend is called Biggest Dickus?
Not at all.
Right, up with this head. Stuff. Yes, all right, we get it.
Yeah, but this was when you were trying to fix it and everyone went crazy in the chat. Not because we didn't tell them that we tried to fix it at that time.
Good.
Right.
I really need to get a better assistant than Ted, I think.
Yeah, he sucks ass. Oh, poor Yukon. His stomach is hurting from laughing.
Sorry about that.
Alright, so let's see. There's so many non-questions here about the sound.
Yes, we got it on the sound. The sound is...
Well, that was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Why is it that people that have an education on health or nutrition become insufferable when I bring up the carnivore diet and the information you preach here on this channel?
Because they haven't been educated, they've been indoctrinated by a anti-humanist, evil collaboration of a number of organisations whose sole goal is to destroy humanity. So you start from the pillars of society, which includes academia. So if you can do a hostile takeover of academia and turn it into a centre of wokeness, then half the battle's won, isn't it? Because now you get people who so-called have credibility, who are prepared to stand up and say stuff and things that are wrong. And then they come on the interwebs and they're wrong on the interwebs.
Oh.
And that really pisses Ted off, doesn't it, Ted?
Question.
Yes.
I recently had a blood test. My serum urea result was 8.2. Results say there is no evidence of kidney disease. 8.2 is considered to be high. Should I be concerned?
Depends on what you're eating. Really?
Look at my crap.
That may be that it's perfectly explainable via the makeup of your diet, which I'd need to talk to you about to find out what that is.
Look at your beard.
Just because something is considered high by a threshold imposed by the allopathic medicinal fraternity, for want of a better term, doesn't mean that their assessment of what is high is correct, indicated, or actually supported by much science. It's pretty much a consensus decision on most of these thresholds as to what's high and what's normal and what's low stuff.
Very nice.
Yes, good.
Those primates who are adapted to eating fruit must have had access to fruit throughout the ice ages, since we only moved out of Africa around 50,000 years ago. Why wouldn't we have had it as well?
Depends where you lived and at what point in history would determine what was around, what was available, etc. I wasn't there any more than you were. We have to put two and two together and say, well, look, these primates have survived. So either there was an amount of fruit of some kind available throughout history at some point somewhere on the globe, or they've changed their diet, these primates. Maybe they're sneaky enough to have done that. Maybe they'll have an agricultural revolution and rise up against the humans. That's a great story. Take that down. That's a great theme plot for maybe we could do a series of movies about primates rising up and striking down the evil humans and taking over the world or something. It's a great idea. I don't think it's been done. Write that down, somebody.
Yes, Snoozy has done it.
She's done everything. She's in everything.
Except for wearing a costume.
Yeah, well, she's not in that. Unless, of course...
You count all this fucking fur.
This could be a costume, couldn't it?
And she needs a haircut.
Oh, and a real job. She needs to get it together like her big brother Bob.
Does she have a brother that is called Bob?
No, she doesn't. But you're all singing the song now, aren't you?
I don't even know it.
Get a haircut and get a real job?
I don't know the song.
Oh my god. Your musical education is incomplete. I'll have to dig that out later.
Right. Professor... Apparently we're sleeping behind there. Professor Vladimir Subotin says that, contrary to the common theory, lipids and white blood cells, etc., reach the atherosclerotic space through the vasa vasorum, not the intima. What do you think?
I don't think that makes a lot of difference to anything in terms of a logical, sensible, knowledgeable construct of the etiology of atherosclerosis, heart disease. It may have some validity. However, that doesn't change anything I said in my recent videos my recent video, singular, called Heart Disease Solved! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. That one. Go and have a look at that. If you want an explanation for heart disease, atherosclerosis, and my thoughts on the most common cause of that, not the only cause, then you'd watch that video. And you'll learn stuff about things.
Assuming identical average blood glucose levels over a 24-hour period, does short, high-level spikes in blood glucose produce more glycation than lower but longer-lasting blood glucose elevations?
You'd have to imagine so, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yep.
There are also some studies.
Oh yes, studies show.
I think I read one on like type 1 diabetic children. The children that had, like, regardless of their A1C, whatever, like average blood glucose, the children that had the highest blood sugar swings had most cognitive decline, and the whole, that part of the area, whichever area it was, I can't remember exactly, actually shrinks. So swinging blood sugar is not a good thing for more things than just the brain, but just saying.
Good. Good.
Is it a cause of concern if one's bodily excretions are of liquid matter almost always?
Concern? Possibly, depending on what the cause of the looseness may or may not be. Strangely enough, you probably won't be shocked to hear that this is one of those things that I would probably need to sit down with you and go through your history over an hour or so to get to the likely root causes of the issue.
You can also pay us $200 and send it to a stool sample to New Zealand government.
Oh yes, we forgot that.
Yes.
Yes. If you pay us $200, what we'll do is provide you with the address of Parliament houses here in New Zealand, and you can send them a sample. And I hope that hundreds of thousands of you take us up on this offer of both paying us $200 and also sending your sample to our laboratory, which is based at Government House, Wellington, New Zealand.
Sorry.
Good.
Did you want to say anything else on the matter?
No, pretty much. Look, if you've got issues like of that kind, folks, you need to talk to me behind the scenes. We need to consult. We need to get to the root cause in your case, which will therefore have an effect on what I would tell you. Somewhat.
Right. Is there a notable benefit on switching from butter to tallow?
Probably not. Tallow is more long chain, butter is more short chain.
I have had countless of people tell me that they do get cravings. They are more hungry when they eat butter, and when they switch to tallow, the satiety level just goes up.
Okay, so if you're having issues of that nature, you might think about more tallow and less butter.
I haven't met anyone who said the opposite, though.
Okay. Anecdotes there, just anecdotes.
And butter is nicer than tallow, so maybe that plays a role. I don't know.
Possibly. Yes.
How long does the body store the insulin boost? Do you have to have the insulin bump every day, or can you do it every few days?
All things being equal and all systems operating as they should, an insulin spike, depending on how it's caused, will usually resolve relatively quickly. Half hour?
Say what?
For how long would an insulin spike last? Half hour or less?
I guess it depends on what you're eating.
Well, exactly. It depends on how you've caused the spike. If
And
it was
how much.
carbs, you're going to get a bigger spike and it's going to drag your blood sugar down lower than it was before you started, and all that will happen quite quickly. If you had a bolus of protein, you'll get a much slower, much flatter, much longer curve on your insulin.
But I think this question more... Well, I read it as because you have said that you don't want to be in ketosis all the time. So I think the question is more like, how often do I need to do this?
Right, the insulin.
Does that insulin boost prevent whatever you don't want for one day, several days, whatever?
Okay. And specifically, it says, does it have to happen every day, or is every other day just as good. To which the answer is, we'll try it and see how that works for you, because everyone's mileage might be a little bit different on that. I would suspect that every day is not a necessity, no. Are there any symptoms or signs that you are having any kind of electrolyte imbalance issues? Would be a fair question. Super chats, super chats, super
yes,
duper
but
chats.
no question.
Well, good.
Thank you very much, Super Chat.
Thank you. $5. We'll put those towards Ted's appearance fee.
Yes. What do I get then? Do I get an appearance fee?
Sure.
Yay!
Yeah.
I get an appearance fee.
Yeah.
$5. But how exactly does the bad bacteria begin to build up? Does it start accumulating for every junk food you put in?
It's not a simple matter of how many are there or how many you put in.
Oh, baby.
It's about the conditions in your individual colon at the time.
Isn't that enough now?
Which will have an effect on which species predominate, prevail, do well, and which ones don't.
Here we go.
Mind your head.
That's why she's going your way.
So, it's one of those how long's a piece of string questions. And two otherwise apparently similar people will react quite differently to the exact same diet, where one of them might completely fall apart and the other one will do fine. So, yes.
It's broken.
Oh no.
Fucking rude.
Oh well. So, there's that. What's next?
What is your opinion on hydrogenated water?
I'm still looking at that. I haven't been convinced that there's any reason so far to suspect that it's a problem in any way or dangerous necessarily. I'm also not convinced it's necessarily helpful yet either, but I'm not discounting that possibility because I've seen one or two things that I'm like, oh yes, I better read that paper at some point.
I believe you said that 1 day dry fast is equivalent to 3 days water fasted. Does that include the body's natural release of stem cells?
My understanding is it does. Yeah.
I just made a short on that the other day. So you can go to my channel and
there you go.
look, but not on the stem cells.
Oh.
That was actually more with the autophagic power. You reach maximum autophagy after 1 day on dry fasting, and it takes 3 days on water fasting, and it's still not as high as 1 day of dry fasting, which is fascinating. Fascinating.
Intéressant.
I mean, in it.
In it. Good.
No one's going to understand what we say.
If you want to
here.
find Pim's channel, it's in the show notes. And it says Pim's Fine channel. Here's the link.
Yes. And you can just go and subscribe there to be nice. You don't even have to fucking watch it. If you don't want to. That's your payment. It's
of course.
My appearance fee.
Of course you must watch it. And you must like and subscribe and
that too.
Post to your social medias, share, like.
But I would like to get to 10,000 subs soon.
That'd be nice.
So get over there, subscribe, hit the fucking button. Right, next question.
Yes.
Anthropology sets consistent meat eating by hominids at 2.5 million years ago. You often mention 4.5 million years of adaptation to carnivore. Where does that number come from?
Probably about 2 million years before the 2.5 you're talking about, where humans were transitioning from exclusive almost plant eaters to exclusive almost eaters of the flesh and fat of animals. They didn't do it overnight either. They did about 2 million years or so, it seems, in terms of the structures on the remains of those people, such that they are mostly skeletal. Ergo, there is a bit of looks like maybe this, maybe that, the other thing going on there. I don't think it's really that important, though. At the end of the day, it's not really a linchpin of the argument. Whether it's 2.5 as almost entirely carnivorous, or whether we're talking about the 4.5, including the transition, does it matter? Still a fucking long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
My live stream's playing an ad to me.
Yes.
About a big fire.
Very good. And here's the question without the capital Q, so don't do this because I almost didn't read it.
There you go.
On an animal-based diet, eggs, meat, butter. Once in a while I eat a store-bought brownie cake thing. How terrible is that splurge for my health? Love your work.
It really depends on how you individually react to that. Your mileage will vary. It doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world for a person who is otherwise healthy and can adapt to such things without falling to bits completely. Maybe that's fine for you. Maybe it isn't. Don't know. I'm not going to sit in judgment because I've never been perfect on a carnivore diet for
Really?
more than 90 days at a time.
If you do have an autoimmune condition, it's probably not very good at all. If you just do it for general health and weight loss, it's probably not a huge issue. I mean, issue.
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 It's an issue.
Not a huge issue. Would a fasting insulin level of 7 universal doings per milliliter prevent fat loss?
Again, individually, your mileage will vary. Individual differences in genotype, phenotype, and the environment in which you have and do place those genes over any given period of time will dictate how that body will respond exactly. These threshold measurements that say this is good and that's bad are a joke. They're ridiculous. They're not scientific. It really depends. Maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. If you're looking for a generalized statement, you'd probably want it lower than that if you were wanting to be losing a lot of fat, ideally, for the average person, which you may not be one of.
Yeah, but also, how the fuck do you know that your fasting insulin level is 7? Because insulin is released in bursts, and which means that the shift from 5 minutes, within a 5-minute range, can be massive. So it's a very, very unreliable way of measuring insulin, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a pulsatile release, as Pim is saying, and not only that, there's also a circadian variation of this jagged line. So basically what we're talking about is enormous noise around the signal that you've just provided us.
So yours might be 4 or 8.
Tell us what you're drinking there.
Kefir.
And where did that come from?
From the cows that messed up the noise earlier.
I see.
No, I made it myself.
Very good. Well done.
Most of it.
Yes.
I have refilled it with some cheating.
Some cheating.
Kefir that was actually store-bought. But
yeah, okay.
I started with my own brew. Because this is my last meal. I'm about to
off with her head.
go to the gallows.
Yes. How long are you going to dry fast for this time?
7 days. So
Bloody
next
hell.
week at this time, I haven't been drinking for a week, I suppose.
Maybe Pim will be here next week. Maybe.
If I don't feel well, I'm not going to be here. Or you have to have it later when I started drinking again so I can talk.
Right, good.
There you go. And if you want to know how that goes, I'm going to do shorts every day on how I feel, what's happening, what my blood glucose is doing, what my ketones are doing, how much weight I'm losing, how the fuck I'm feeling. Yes, I got to say fuck. And so on. So if you didn't subscribe yet, just out of your goodwill, maybe you want to subscribe because you're curious. And I might die after day 3 without water because I died last time I did it.
It was terrible.
I got better.
She was turned into a newt.
Right, next.
Yes, good.
Dear Ted, Pim, and Bart,
Yes.
how are the cardiolipins in the mitochondria damaged by seed oils or glucose and its cause of diabetes and cancer?
As to the first part, the mechanism is different depending on which is the agent. Seed oils can inveigle themselves in to structures, phospholipid bilayers within the mitochondria and within the cell itself, and they can displace saturated fatty acid chains, thus being all kinky and all over the place and interfering with the function of the phospholipid bilayer structure. It becomes no longer competent in that way. In terms of glucose, it's a glycation reaction where a glucose or fructose molecule or galactose, etc., becomes bound chemically to a structure, thus changing its chemical structure in such a way as to interfere with its function. In terms of causation for carcinogenesis cancer, there is no evidence scientifically available upon which we should make or could make such a call. That's a cause and effect claim. There are no experiments that are able to inform on that. We have to imagine that interfering with the function of the mitochondria is not helpful, because one of the things that is necessary for cancer is that the mitochondria become deranged. There are somewhere between 8 and 11 oncogenes that have to be changed, and the entire mitochondrial apoptosis mechanism needs to be shut down as well. So whether any one bit of glycation damage or seed oil damage would cause that, that's a step too far. We don't know. We just have to imagine it's not helpful.
Okie dokie. Is it worth taking boron supplement of some sort in general, or not really needed with meat diet?
I don't think it's necessary to supplement with anything for nutritional purpose on a carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is replete and complete nutritionally. So, case by case, if someone is deficient in something for some reason, and we can demonstrate that that is a fact, then we might supplement that thing. Otherwise, no. Not on speculation or just to make sure you don't, because that can mess something else up, which then has a knock-on effect, house of cards, or a domino effect, if you like, and you'll mess up something else down the chain by trying to prevent something that was probably not happening in the first place.
You mean deficient?
Deficient.
You don't even speak New Zealand anymore.
I went to Britain for a while. It messed up my whole speech patterns, innit?
Professor, what's your take on eating 200 grams of fat a day for energy and to remain in ketosis? Fact or fiction, and is it a requirement for a healthy carnivore lifestyle?
Okay, as to the first part, it depends on many things: individual differences, genotypic and phenotypic differences, the environment in which you place those genes now and have done previously, blah, 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 blah. Your body size, your body mass would have a real impact on the answer to that question as well. The second part, to remain in ketosis. Why do you want to remain in ketosis? For what possible reason would you do that? And a healthy carnivore lifestyle does involve the release of ketones at various points, at various times. It's a cyclic thing. It's quite normal. It's part of your normal metabolic pathways. Trying to artificially place yourself in ketosis all the time is not normal, natural, or healthy. It's dumb. Okay?
Okay. How does too much protein cause constipation?
I'm not sure that it does necessarily. Do you think too much protein causes constipation?
I don't know if it's actually causing constipation, but I think some people that don't eat enough fat tend to be constipated sometimes. I think it's a fat deficiency.
Deficiency.
I got to say deficiency.
Maybe not. I guess what the comment there is maybe not enough fat, but not so much too much protein.
Yeah, I think if you eat enough fat, I don't think it matters how much protein you're eating. I don't think it's going to make you constipated, but it's just a guess. I don't have any evidence.
Evidence. Just anecdotes, mind. Just anecdotes.
Is salt considered a beneficial part of a human diet, or is it rock that is indigestible and not natural?
The first, and not the second. Salt is rock. Stare at that sun, Earth is flat.
Your nerves are not going to work without salt. You need salt.
If you cook your meat, you're a fucking slave. You're nothing to do with carnivore. Salt is rock. If you listen to that kind of nonsense online, you deserve what you get, frankly, kiddies. Right.
Follow up on question 1. Why would fasting for a long time damage my metabolism when the body fat could feed my whole body several times over? I understand body fat as food and I could eat lean protein.
Because there is a hysteresis that your metabolism will undergo, and as such, it will, despite the fact that you have stored fat, it will discourage the use of that stored fat progressively if you are not taking in sufficient substrate to keep things rolling the way it should. And as such, your basal metabolic rate can drop for a period of time so long that that becomes your new set point, and the hysteresis around the movement of that physiological thing becomes now set around the lower level. And that's not a good thing.
I also think when you say fasting for a long time, if you mean like doing a 30-day fast, it's probably better for you than doing 30 days over 60 days, like intermittent one-day fasting, because then you're sort of refeeding in between, but not enough, which I think is worse because if you're fasting for 30 days, your body is going to start conserving things and breaking down things that you don't want and so on. It's a bit of different hormonal response, etc.
Cool.
Yeah?
Very good.
Yes, very good. You forgot the cue. I've had a heart attack about 8 months ago. I'm only taking the Actavis now, same as aspirin, I gather, since I have a stent. I wonder if it's safe to drop it since I recently received the Olympic pack.
There is no way that we could give you medical advice, and especially not without a patient-clinician relationship. And as such, if you and I did have such a relationship, it would be disclaimed that I do not give personal advice necessarily. I give opinions based on what I might do in that situation myself. And the answer to that is I really can't answer that for you because, again, your individual mileage will vary. Your situation will be specific to your situation. A lot of things come into play, like where exactly was the MI, what part of myocardium has been affected, what other side effects of that are you living with. Get your medical advice from your primary medical provider at this stage, unless they tell you to take a statin, in which case, fire them.
Get the fuck.
Yes, tell them to get to fuck and to transfer your records. Super chat.
Yes.
We love the super chats.
And love the beret on my heat.
Yes, very nice.
Thank you, John.
It's cute, isn't it?
Thank you for the super chat.
Yes.
Question. Why do people get fat who take insulin shots? Seems like insulin injections have no impact on encouraging cells to uptake glucose for fuel, but rather tell the liver to turn glucose into fat for storage.
It does both. However, if the Randle cycle is highly activated, then the attempted action in terms of sugar removal of the insulin won't work as well, because those cells will have their GLUT4 door locked from the inside via an AMP kinase mediated reaction based on the energetic state of that cell at that time.
But insulin is an anabolic hormone,
Yes.
so it tells you to store every fucking thing and prevent breaking down every fucking thing.
Yes.
Oh, I got to say fucking twice.
So
much fun.
Ain't it fun when you know that you're gonna
I mean,
die
it's
young?
a thing. I can't remember. There is a term for it even. Type 1 diabetics that don't take enough insulin because they want to get skinnier.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Which is kind of dangerous, but there is even a term for that.
But, you know, what they actually probably need to do is get some advice from someone who knows how to advise them sensibly on how many carbohydrates they should be eating.
Then they could probably take less insulin too.
Yeah, because you need to work with that person's primary care physician so that that physician knows what the dietary changes are going to be, not asking for permission, telling you this is what we're doing. So you need to adjust the insulin accordingly and probably change type as well. I know Ryan Attar, for example, uses only the slow type, because the only thing he needs to cover with his insulin really is the protein that he's eating, because he's a good boy. He's a good lad.
A good boy.
He's
He's hiding under a pile of crispy bacon somewhere.
He is. He has not been seen recently at the camouflage training.
No, he's very good at that.
Good. What's next?
Is there any paper or resource, not including your channel, that specifically goes over how the simultaneous cross-inhibition of both fat and glucose oxidation occurs?
Yes. It's a paper by Sir Philip Randle, published in 1963, called The Glycerol Fatty Acid Cycle, blah something like that. Go and look that up.
Blah. Good.
Yep.
What does Ted think about Dr. Drew Pinsky joining the V-Shred crew?
Well, everybody has their price, don't they? He probably thinks he can make some money from that association, because V-Shred doesn't actually have any credibility at all. But he does have an enormous audience. He has huge trucks of land.
I don't even know who it is.
He's a bloke that does fitness influencing and giving people really, really shocking advice.
He gives a V-Shred.
He's got no training really of any kind at all, or qualifications or credentials, or he's got a lot of opinions on things.
Opinions.
He's also got a massive audience.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
Huge trucks of land.
A massive
ego? Probably.
Insert your
Careful.
word of choice.
Careful. Never say insert your to me and then pause, because it'll be over before you know it. Literally.
Run away!
Ah, right, what's next?
Her Majesty looking exceptionally majestic today. Thank you,
Right,
Patty.
so too, yes. How's Francois?
Yeah. Dr. Sarah Pugh had a YouTube video about being copper deficient.
Yeah.
Can you explain the amount needed to eat and how copper interacts with iron?
Well, that's the answer. It depends on your iron intake and the form of your iron intake as to how much copper you need. Also, it depends on what physiological processes are going on. Are you currently losing copper, gaining copper, your individual genes, your phenotype, the environment in which you place those genes at this time and have done previously? The same sort of things I've been talking about for the last, how long? 52 minutes and 21 seconds, including the bit that was all about the cows
So
smashing
like
through the speakers or
42
something.
minutes then.
Yes. We'll edit that out later, out of the live stream.
Very good.
Yes.
Why do some people get very high blood glucose levels on carnivore?
Because there are a number of reasons. Number one, potentially they're eating too much protein for their needs, which is thus being transmuted into glucose on a supply basis rather than a needs basis, and that can be the answer to that. Then you get this chronically elevated insulin profile. Then you get the thing that will be referred to by most people as insulin resistance, which is just actually Randle Cycle activation mostly. That's one reason. Another reason can be other than high protein intake, what are the usual, I don't want to talk about all these stupid obscure ones. Are there any other major ones?
Why you get high blood glucose, or why you keep high blood glucose?
Different question, yeah. Are we talking about now, your immediate result today, if you took it now, or are you talking about your A1C? Because if you're talking about your A1C, then, well, there are a number of things that contribute to that too, including red blood cells living longer, it seems, in carnivore people than they do in standard diet eating people.
Yeah.
Thus, artificially elevating your A1C and giving you a false idea about things.
Could just be if you've been coming from another diet, it could be a higher set point that you've just been teaching your body for a while, and it might just take a while to get it down. But other than that, I don't really know. Why are you reading questions?
I'm just seeing that Master Sergeant Big Boy, otherwise known as Jonathan, is in the house. Good to see you, Jonathan.
Yes.
Master Sergeant Big Boy.
Very good. So, dear Bart, does 100% of the fats we eat go into the lymphatic system, or can any of the fats get absorbed into the bloodstream? Cheers!
Fat, of course, is absorbed directly into the bloodstream at the interface between the intestine and the blood. It doesn't all go to the lymph. Where did you hear that from? That would be interesting to look at. Yes.
Okay. Just have a comment here that
Yes.
Coach Roxana says, on the line diet I have to use beef tallow. It's surprisingly good. I agree with the highest satiety.
Fair play. I don't personally like it. Tallow.
No.
I enjoy butter, but I don't like tallow. I love pork fat. I love lamb fat. But beef fat
Can't
is...
stand lamb fat.
That's funny.
So yucky.
I'm the other way around.
I happily eat beef fat, mostly. Sometimes it doesn't taste good, but mostly I like it.
If you're hearing the rain through the microphone, sorry about that, it's pissing down.
You must hear it.
Well, it depends on how good the AI is at cutting it without...
But I can see it on the microphone.
Yeah, so I reckon they can hear it at the moment.
Do you guys hear the rain? Yes
Do
or
you
no?
hear the rain?
Yes.
I want to know.
Shut up. Today's poll, can you hear the rain? Yes
No
or no?
singing.
Indeed.
Right, carry on.
Yes, oops, I already clicked it. I was doing some sprinting recently as a high-intensity cardio. Should I try to add seconds of sprint per set or add more sets as a form of progression? Also, how long should I rest between sets?
You should progress the intensity above all else rather than any aspect of the volume. Always intensity first, volume secondary consideration. How long you rest between sets would depend on the relative intensity. At the very high end, you can probably almost look at a work to rest ratio of 1 to 5 as being a starting point, but that will shorten down if you set yourself a heart rate based go again limiter. When I get to below 120, I'm going again, for example.
I would do that.
Yeah, because then your adaptation, your fitness status will be determining your training intensity and load a bit, which is as it should be.
And even if you don't measure your pulse, you can probably tell by how quickly you need to breathe. Like when you can breathe again, and when you can maybe talk again.
Yeah, you could use an
You
RPE
just-
scale. Very, very inaccurate, of course, but you could do that if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think if you go too quickly, like if the rest isn't long enough, you're just not going to be able to go as hard. So you're not going to get the same benefit. So, in my opinion, it's always better to rest a little bit longer than a little bit too short. Because I have an opinion, even though I'm royal.
Yes.
Yes. 38 years old, carnivore, 2 years active, 10,000 steps per day, plus 6 workouts per week. Blood work shows total cholesterol 300, triglycerides 69, HDL 58, VLDL 10, and LDL 232. Doctor wants to put me on statins. Thoughts? Don't do it.
Fire that doctor immediately. Send them a message. Please transfer my records. We are done. You are fired.
Fired!
Fired! That doctor has no business being involved in your care from this point forward. Sorry.
What type of diet would fuck up your health in the fastest amount of time as badly as possible? Not something that would kill you straight away or starvation.
The standard Western or American diet is the worst possible in that regard.
Yes, all deep fried sugar would be brilliant.
Yes, make sure it's deep fried sugar that's deep fried in seed oil.
Yeah, well, that's what you get.
Make sure it's also seed oil that hasn't been changed in several months.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I think those kind of fats are probably a lot more problematic than sugar and a lot quicker and will cause you a more painful death.
Also, stay out of the sun, don't talk to one another, don't get physically close to one another, and make sure you trust the science, believe everything they tell you, and take every injection they tell you need.
Very good.
Don't question the science.
Question, what are your thoughts on fasting for SIBO intervention?
It can work. Case by case. Again, I would need the whole history, and it's a very individual thing. But yes, it can. It is a valid tool for that purpose. Case by case.
Yes, I've heard of people doing dry fasting for it, and then refeeding with kefir and such.
Yes.
Not that all your gut flora dies when you are dry fasting, but there is an opportunity to rebuild with new bacteria after doing it. And take over. have good gut bacteria take over rather than having the bad one. Do you have problems in your
No, I'm
gut?
just thinking about Ted and how he enjoys coffee more.
I wonder if you had a cockroach in there or something.
Hanan Recticabion.
Yes. Well, no, really. It's a fucking fake bear.
Shh. He hears you. Shh. Ted hears all.
He's busy between your legs. He won't hear
Quiet.
anything.
He's twiddling the knobs, making sure that the audio is as it should be. Good job, Ted.
Yes.
Good boy. Good boy.
Okay. I achieved bodybuilding level physique September 2023 eating low fat, high carb and 2.5 kilo of protein, 2.5 grams per kilo of protein. I went carnivore January 24 because of binge eating after my competition. I can't achieve the leanness on carnivore. Help. Why don't you go to Jonathan's channel?
You could, absolutely, and Jonathan would probably be a good one to talk to. You can also consult with myself if you'd like to. The link for consultancy is underneath this video in the show notes. It's that one that starts bit.ly/the rest. Click that and then there's a link off to consultancy via Patreon membership there. Excuse me, Ted.
Fucking rude.
Goodness gracious. There's all sorts of things that we would need to unpick there to help you get back on track in that regard.
Yes. All right.
Yes, talk to Jonathan.
Yes. Carnivore Muscle on YouTube.
Yes.
Can you explain nitrogen isotope testing and reference a study showing the differences between humans and other species?
The first part, yes, I can, absolutely. The second part, go on any of the search engines you like and put in stable isotope testing, stable nitrogen testing, trophic level, and you'll see it. There's tons of it there. As for the first part, yes, nitrogen comes in two naturally occurring, very stable isotope forms which differ only in the number of neutrons in the nuclei. And an animal that eats plant material exclusively will have almost exclusively one of the isotopes, and a person that eats almost exclusively animal material will have almost exclusively the other isotope, and the level of the isotopes in an individual's remains tells us what that individual ate during their life. What we get from that for all human remains found, anything over 11,000 years or so of age, up to 100 and something that they've found, inside the long bones of the skeletal remains of human beings is a protein, it's collagen, which remains viable and able to be tested for, well, over 100,000 years it seems. And that's what they do. They measure the collagen from the human long bones and they say that's what this person ate in terms of the balance between plant and animal sources of food. They all agree, all over the world, in that age range I'm talking about, within about a 5% band, and they all say something like about 80% animal and about 20% plant material, which, looking at what seems to have been available anthropologically to humans in those places in the world at that time, would seem to be mostly rooty, fibrous, non-starchy, sort of pre-tuber things before humans progressively made the tubers more starchy and bigger and all of that.
And less tubery.
And less rooty and fibrous and stuff. It seems like humans were probably digging up these roots and boiling the fuck out of them for days at a time to get them to soften up enough so that they had something to chew on when maybe the mammoth hunt was a failure or whatever. And a very, very small amount of that material was fermented in the hind gut to provide a very, very small amount of short-chain fatty acid subsistence stuff, it would seem. There you go. Thanks for the question.
Two things. Thanks for the shout out. That's Carnivore Muscle. You're welcome, Jonathan.
You are welcome.
And then, ta-da!
Master Sergeant Big Boy.
What is your favourite beef, Scotch fillet or sirloin? And have you ever been on radio or TV? All I ever hear here in New Zealand is traditional dietitians in the media here.
Right. As to the first bit, our favourite beef is picanha, or rump cap, with lots of fat.
I thought
don't
your
like the fat
favourite
so much.
cut was Wagyu.
Oh yes,
fillet.
Wagyu. we're gonna. Well, the plan soon is for us to get hold of our own piece of land that we can claim and plant a flag in and secede from New Zealand to become our own independent banana republic or something. Pimbatia, this is the Queen. I shall be the King and the head of the military. I shall also be despotic and unreasonable with the New Zealand government, of course.
No
and
news
we shall
there.
be militant. And Ted will hold the boundaries. Well, that too. He'll hold the knobs, of course he will. Yes, the knobs of the tanks, making sure that the output is what it should be. Good job, Ted. Well done. Have you ever been on radio or TV? Yes, I have been a couple of times when there had been television crews present at a university open day at the university I was working at the time in a given department, and they wanted a spokesperson to be interviewed and talk about what was going on and what it was that we were demonstrating here on our stand for our department within the university. So that happened a couple of times. Have I been on radio? Several times. I used to be a DJ way back when, like in my very early 20s for a brief period. That's pretty obscure, but that's something I've done in my life. All you ever hear in New Zealand is traditional dietitians in the meat. Yeah, well, that's it. You get accepted narrative in this country. Yes.
Yes.
You don't get alternative views unless you tune into my fine YouTube channel, and Ted will give you his alternate views on things.
Good.
Good.
7 days dry fast.
And that's
So
what she said. Yes.
Yes.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
She didn't even stutter when she said it.
No eating, no drinking for 7 days. Pip may be deluged by next week.
Yes.
Maybe. One can only hope.
And by next week, you say?
Do you want to read your questions yourself?
Of course I don't want to read the questions myself.
I'm being fucking bullied to be here.
Bullied? Yes, that's what's happening here, obviously.
Yes. And have to wear this thing.
The Queen is never satisfied, no matter how regal and fine her robes. I have to wear this thing.
Yes. Cheap shit that unclasps and shit.
The Queen doesn't wear cheap shit. Come on, these are real jewels.
Get me some real fucking fur and shit then. What's this? Flimsy shit.
You can't please anybody any of the time. Cheap shit, she says. Goodness gracious. So discerning is our Royal Majesty.
Yes.
Right, what's the question?
What exactly is it about alcohol that completely screws up my HIV status? Even 3 small beers see it dysregulated for 2 or 3 days.
Well, alcohol is a toxin, a systemic toxin. The exact mechanisms of all of its effects are possibly well understood by some. I would be able to point to 1 or 2 possibilities, but with specific reference to any 3-letter acronyms, who knows what would connect that particular condition exactly with alcohol. Perhaps you could spell out for us what even do you mean by HRV?
Heart rate variability.
Could be. It could also be human retrovirus.
I think it's heart rate variability. Because that makes sense, which is very dependent on stress levels, cortisol, that sort of thing.
It could also stand for Henrietta Rogers' vagina, couldn't it?
Well, does he have one of those?
I don't know. Do you have a vagina?
Called Henrietta... What was it?
Rogers.
Rogers.
Yes. Who knows?
And how is it dysregulated?
Okay, let's imagine that we're talking about heart rate variability, in which case one of the simple answers to that would be, well, alcohol dehydrates you. That can change your blood flow dynamics and pressure status, and that means that your heart has to work harder to keep things homeostatic in that regard. There you go.
Someone is asking if these are real moa feathers.
Yes, absolutely. It's all top quality stuff here. The Queen just doesn't appreciate it because she's so regal that everything's shit. No, this is absolutely genuine something that was white at some point. Yes, and these are genuine moa feathers. Yes.
Yes.
Plucked directly from the Moor's vagina. It has magical aphrodisiac properties.
Was that your plan? Jesus.
Yes.
Is New Zealand farmed fresh oysters and mussels a clean source of seafood, or is there contaminated and should be avoided?
I think that New Zealand seafood in general is pretty clean and green without being perfect, of course, but it's much better in that regard than perhaps Northern Hemisphere seafood. Of course, I'm bound to say that because I'm a complete slob.
Yes.
Snob, if that didn't come out right. Snob.
You're a complete slob.
Well, that too, perhaps. We got it.
What is dog appropriate food? Ruminant meat, pig, raw. I want my dog to be healthy and strong. Well, these little piglets.
Went to market?
I meant the dogs.
All right.
They eat raw meat, bones, organs, and they eat all sorts of ruminant. They sometimes eat pig, they sometimes eat fish, they sometimes eat eggs. Eggs I actually cook, so the white is cooked because otherwise one of my dogs will get terrible gas, and the option is to not feed her eggs, which I don't do very often anyway, but sometimes.
That's you.
Yes, that's that one.
Yes, you. That's you.
Fucking horrendous farts from that. But mostly red meat, fat, and mostly liver, because kidneys stink. I don't want to deal with it.
She's like, what do you want, Baldy? Fuck off.
Sometimes you can get bags of random pieces of organs, that sort of thing. Lungs and hearts, and I don't even count heart as organ. Right now we have some beef heart in the freezer. I haven't had that since the UK almost. It was a long time ago, but they like it. Okay, so the chat is stuck again.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I'm just trying to find my way back to where we were.
Finding my way back to the chat window.
It's somewhat fucking annoying.
It is very annoying. Yes, we need a decent answer for chat window control, I think.
Professor, do you ever treat yourself to any carbs?
Yeah, it does happen. Yep. And I usually pay a price almost immediately, usually the next day, sometimes for 2 days on end, depending on exactly what I eat and how much of it that I shouldn't have. Treat isn't the right word. It's just ill discipline. It's poor self-control. It's responding to a reptile brain desire for a dopamine dump. There's no reason why anyone should do that nutritionally. It's dumb. It's not helpful. But yes, I do.
I am dumb. It's what you say.
I said I'm a human being who's not perfect.
Oh, really? So the science is fallible.
Don't question me. I'm the science, and don't question the Queen.
Exactly.
And don't question Ted. Ted runs the show.
What's your favorite enzyme?
All thoughts are those of Ted. My favourite enzyme? I don't have a favourite enzyme. They're all useful. They all do a job.
Indeed.
Goodness gracious, what a funny question.
How do people high carb, low fat lose fat? Since even though the Randle Cycle is solved, they're spiking insulin all day, and from I read, carbs inhibit lipolysis.
Depends on how quickly the clearance from their blood is of the insulin spikes that they are producing and how effective that is being. Given that a person eating a lot of carb and very little fat will probably be able to oxidize more carb before it becomes problematic Randle Cycle wise, that's probably your answer there. What you also find in those individuals is over a number of years they will lose any and all muscle tone and muscle mass that they had and become skeletal, precisely because there is absolutely sufficient usable protein in a vegan diet. Of course there is.
Sufficient.
That's why they become skeletal and hollow. if you're not into fruits and vegetables, you might die. And start losing their mind and stuff. Good.
Right.
What's next?
What's the difference between X39 and Cerule?
Well, Cerule is the one that I'm supporting. It's the one that I'm promoting to people. It's the one I'm joint ventured with. It's also the only product available on the market that I'm aware of with peer-reviewed literature suggesting to us that it does exactly what they tell us it does. I've been with Cerule and its predecessors, actually, for 15 years in some capacity. Most of that as a retail customer, actually. It's only recent years that I've been a distributor of their product in my own right, if you like. I could tell you all about the benefits or potential benefits of Cerule and the science behind what it is and what it does all day, if you like. In terms of anybody else's product, all I can say is that it's almost certainly inferior. But without looking at that particular product, I couldn't really tell you.
Now, have you thought of making a dartboard with Saladino on one half and Delaware on the other half? I would enjoy the sensory pleasure of throwing darts at those two clowns.
Or we could just wait till they do a collaborative again and throw more darts at them both at the same time. The actual people, here, have some darts. No, I haven't really thought of doing that. It may surprise people to understand that this character that you see here on the interwebs doing my thing here on my channel is just that, a character. This is play acting, a lot of it, of course. The information is good. I'm giving you good, actually science-based, actually sensibly academic, experienced advice. I'm just doing it in a playful way, in a character way to kind of to hook you in. So I really couldn't actually, I have no personal opinions at all about Saladino or Delaware, except that for different reasons and in different ways, both of them are fucking stupid. In Saladino's case, it's because of everything he says on every topic. That's why he's clearly stupid. And in Thomas's case, it's because he's a Cerule distributor in his own right, with over 1 million people, well over 1 million people following his channel, and he's never mentioned it. A lot of people say to me, what's the secret of succeeding in Cerule? And I say, well, here it is. It's not a fucking secret. Tell people that they can get Cerule from you. And Thomas, with millions and millions of supporters, he could easily become the king of Cerule, couldn't he? And be, I know he does perfectly well already, but he could do 10 billion times better. That's my estimate. Studies show.
They can hear the rain.
Good.
And it's making some people sleepy.
But I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? No singing.
Oh, I don't know what this is. What is the thinking on using baking soda to velvet meat? Bad idea?
Never even heard of anyone ever trying to do that, and why the fuck would you? No, I
What
wouldn't
does
do that.
velvet mean?
I've got no idea, but I presume it means to make it fluffy.
Tenderize?
And no, I wouldn't do that. That's horrific.
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 Thoughts on lowest food protein and fat amount minimums for human survival? Thank you for your very intelligent question, Jonathan.
Thank you. What's your say?
I think Jonathan should do the experiment to see how quickly he fades away.
That's rude. It'll take a while too, because he's got a bit of protein stored on his body.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that people say you can't store protein.
But he doesn't have a lot of fat.
Have a look at Jonathan and see if he's storing any protein. Yeah.
Well, you won't store it unless you put some fucking effort into storing it.
True. Anyway, Jonathan, here's what I say personally, and I know that you know that this is what I say. I say to the average Joe, the average person, you really want about 2 grams of protein per kilogram of lean mass, give or take. Individual differences, all of that. Whether you're an athlete or not, it doesn't seem to make a lot of difference. Good.
Mr. Bart,
Yes.
why does your body store body fat made from toxic oils? Why would it store something that's toxic? Shouldn't it put it out instead?
Who knows? It's a known phenomenon that fat cells are known to store certain toxins in the fat stored in those cells. As to why that's being done, why your body decides that's a good idea, I've got no idea. Do you?
But I don't really understand the toxic. What we mean with a toxic oil is probably that it's oxidized in some way, so it's not actually doing any damage until it's incorporated somewhere in your body. That's when it becomes toxic, if you like, or dangerous, or whatever you want to call it. It's not a toxin, so it doesn't cause any problem until it's attached to something. Why the body doesn't break it down instead, and it's probably because you don't need the energy and you need the fat in your cell membranes, and then it just fucking gets incorporated everywhere and such. I would say. Yes, no?
I'm happy, fine, yep, good, like it.
How exactly does the carnivore diet help reverse erectile dysfunction? When I eat strict carnivore, I don't need those expensive boner pills anymore.
It may well be a number of things. The first thing I would probably suspect as my most likely candidate would be that there is a great deal of nitric oxide precursors to be found in meat. Thus, the vasodilation required is attenuated, exacerbated, optimized, whichever direction that is, from wherever you started from. It seems that a lot of erectile dysfunction is to do with dysfunction of the vascular system, that is to keep the vagal tone in such a way as to gain and maintain. Good.
If cow ate a lot of tomatoes during its lifetime, if I ate meat of that cow, could I digest oxalates in similar quantities as if I ate those tomatoes?
Less than if you ate the tomatoes directly, I would imagine, on a gram for gram basis of the meat resulting from a cow that ate tomatoes, and tomatoes, potatoes, or potatoes. Let's call the whole thing off.
I don't know how cows process and excrete oxalates, but I'm suspecting that I have a decent capacity to do so.
Given that most of what they eat, in terms of the grass, gets returned, chewed up a lot, with some withdrawal made by the bacteria that live on that chewed up grass in their guts, that's probably how. They probably just actually don't absorb it in the way that we do. Don't know. I'm guessing. I'm not an expert in cow physiology.
Blink if you're in distress, Pim.
Call the police. Yes. Call the police.
Oh my god. Discovered I have MTHFR C677T homozygous gene mutation and slow COMT also. Any experience with this, guys? Trying to work out a plan to address it myself is proving very confusing.
I would suggest that a good person to talk to would be the King of Tasmania, His Royal Highness King Harilaus Serpanos. That's his thing.
I suspect that he has a live stream today.
I do.
In maybe an hour or so.
Yes.
I can't remember exactly what time.
Harry, have you got out of bed yet? Let us know if you're here and what time your live stream starts.
I haven't
and that
seen
it's on
him.
your fine channel and stuff.
Yeah. Why don't carnivore doctors talk about the Randle Cycle? Why do they keep talking about insulin resistance as if it is bad?
Mostly because most of them are ignorant on both topics. For a short answer.
And I also think that it's easier to say insulin resistance because everyone knows what you're talking about then. Otherwise you need to
even though everybody
educating
is
people.
wrong about what that is and conceives of that wrongly, i.e. that it's a pathology and that it's the cause or etiology of a disease process, which it isn't. Good.
Dear Bart, thank you. If not 100% of fats are absorbed into the lymphatic system, then please can you teach us the ratios as to where the fats leave the intestines and get absorbed into our system?
I'll make a video at some point when people stop being wrong on the interwebs and I've got time to do it.
So never then.
Yeah.
This little piggy stays at home.
And which little piggy said wee, 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 wee? Was it the one that stays at home? Or was it the one that was doing it all the way home?
Good question.
Yeah.
But could you elaborate on recommended high-intensity exercise program? What is the ideal way to perform this? Rowing machine, bike, or with weights, sprinting, ideal intervals?
Yes, I could, absolutely. That would be a consultancy issue on a case-by-case basis. as usual. The link is underneath this video in the show notes. The general plan is that we're doing, depending on the needs of the person concerned, we're doing very high intensity burst and repeat sprint type activity, and or some aspect of or some style of resistance training, be that fixed weights or elastic band resistance or both. Again, depends case by case where you're coming from and where you want to go to as to what I would suggest to you. Super chat, another super chat.
What do you think of walking 10,000 steps a day, healthy or contraindicated? I have been doing that every day for the past year, along with weightlifting 6 times a week.
Okay, weightlifting 6 times a week is probably 2 or 3 times a week too many. I don't have a problem with a person walking 10,000 steps a day. I don't think that's problematic. It may or may not be of some value to you in terms of incidental exercise, but it's not training, if that's what you're thinking. It's incidental exercise, which can be good for a number of reasons, both physical and psychological, and won't interfere with your high intensity training in the way that the middle zone so-called endurance, so-called aerobic stuff absolutely will. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back, humans are fucking meant to be walking and moving all day long, so it shouldn't be a problem to walk a lot every day if you enjoy it. And even if you don't enjoy it, it's probably a good thing.
Come on, baby, do the locomotion. You've got to move your body.
Next question.
No singing.
Bart, could you speak on alkaline phosphatase and what a rising level on carnivore could indicate? Would a rising level signal any intervention needed potentially?
It's not really something that I like to generalize about. It is a metric used by a number of those, mainly in the allopathic medicinal field, to indicate function of various organ systems and sections of metabolism. One of the failings is that they use these threshold values instead of understanding individual difference and signal to noise ratio and all that kind of stuff, reliability, repeatability of signaling, whatever else. If anybody wants to come to me with blood results that they believe to be aberrant or that their physicians believe to be aberrant, they would need to bring me a case series of probably 3 to 6 repeated measurements over a reasonable period of time to indicate that that person's value is typically or chronically off scale, and then we start talking about symptomology to see whether or not it's something we need to even think about intervening in regard to, or whether it isn't. There you go. Maybe I'll make a video about that too. Alkaline phosphatase, good.
Yes. What do you think about monk fruit as a way to ease down from carbs to transition to meat only? Thanks for the super chat.
Yes, thank you for that. If it works for you, cool. I'm happy with that. Allulose apparently is good too. We're going to try some as soon as it arrives. We've put some on order, haven't we? Allulose,
I'm
allulose.
stuck.
You are stuck again. Dum 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 dum.
Jesus.
I don't think he's got anything to do with it. I think it's...
He better not.
I think it's the YouTubes.
I shall.
They don't like me, the YouTubes, it seems.
If he's causing this, I'm gonna fucking...
Ted.
Crucify him.
Well, Ted's busy at the moment, aren't you, boy? Good boy. He's still twiddling the knobs.
Yes, I'm sure. How does consumption of low deuterium water induce the body to shed the deuterium?
Well, deuterium only stays in your body for as long as the hydrogen, so-called the deuterium version of hydrogen, bound to whatever carbon skeleton it's bound to, is in your body before it's used, oxidized for energy, or incorporated into body structures, as the case may be. So having less of it coming in means that the process of excreting it takes precedence, and the level of it in your body goes down over time.
Indeed.
Is there anything more difficult to it than that?
No,
Probably not.
I mean, you do get rid of some deuterium every day. It's just about the amount that comes in.
That's it. Yep, pretty much what I said. Good. I love it when we're on the same page.
I don't elaborate as much. When you say 2 grams of protein per lean body mass, do you mean grams of protein as shown on a nutrition label?
Yeah.
So would I need 300 grams of protein if weigh 150 pounds, ideally? That's be
If
like
your
4 pounds of
lean
meat.
mass is 150 pounds, yes, that's means that the 300 grams will be somewhere right about for you, give or take. You'll still have to dial it in n equals 1 over time with experience of your own body. And yes, it's as per the amount of protein in it.
In it.
In it. In it, not in it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, good.
Wait, with that one.
Yes,
Is A2 dairy better choice to not aggravate my psoriasis?
Possibly. Try it and see. Very individual as to what works for whom and why. Also depends on a bunch of other confounds, covariates and collinearities. People are complex.
Super chat.
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to live carnivore. Do you think I ought get lab tests along the way? If so, which ones? If yes, how often?
I don't suggest that anybody get any lab tests whatsoever of any kind unless there is symptomology which we need to explain.
Yes, that's the cheapest and best option.
Yep.
All right. I'm trying to find questions. Here we go. How much folate do we actually need daily? Will homocysteine rise if we are low in folate? If my folate is low and homocysteine high, should I be worried? Would eating liver be indicated here?
How many questions are there? 1, 2, 3.
50 billion.
Are we going to charge 3 times?
Yes.
Matthew, you owe us for 3 questions. The answers to your questions are, question 1, that depends very much. It's very individual on the same basis, the same sort of answer that I've given to all such kind of questions throughout this entire broadcast. The answer to question number 2 is it depends on all sorts of confounds, covariates, collinearities, your genes, your phenotype, the situation in which you place those genes at this time and have done previously, where your physiology currently is at, etc., 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 all of that. If my folate is low, according to whom, on the basis of what, is low and homocysteine is high, should I be worried? That depends. You should probably consult with me over an hour or so to get to the bottom of that with you, to find out whether or not that's something that you should be concerned about in any way, shape or form. And would liver be indicated here? No, absolutely not. Good. What's next?
What's next? I think you might have explained this, but let's just do it anyway.
Yep.
Just to make sure, when you say lean body weight, do you mean ideal weight, not body weight minus fat weight, right?
No, I mean...
Though it seems that that is the usual definition.
I mean ideal weight in someone who is carrying more fat than is ideal, thus their weight is artificially more than what it should be. You should use the lean mass, and the best way to work that out or approximate it would be to take your height in meters, multiply that by itself, and then multiply the result of that calculation by 22.5, and that will give you your ideal weight in kilograms. If, however, you're like Master Sergeant Big Boy Jonathan and have a lot of muscle mass and are basically a huge unit, then you would use your mass as it is, not as it should be if your body mass was 22.5, because it fucking isn't. Make sense? Good.
Good.
So lean body weight is what I said, and it's what I mean.
But will the invisible penis make an appearance? This is urgent.
Is it? It could at some point. I would have to dive behind the invisible curtain, which isn't really very invisible as usual. It's because of all the shadows that aren't normally occurring.
Where are your invisible peni?
They are
behind in the box.
In the bookshelf behind us. I would have to dig them out.
Rude.
Perhaps we'll bring them out next week. Tune in next week to see some invisible peni, and we'll sing the song. Harry's in the house.
Yes, finally. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, Harry.
Nice of you to get up.
Yes. Now, what time's your live stream, son? Is it 12:30?
Well, our time, you mean?
Because 10:30 your time. We've told people to go and ask you about MTFHR, the motherfucker gene and stuff. So they'll all come and ask you about that today.
Yeah.
The answer will be taurine. Taurine, taurine, taurine. That's what he'll say.
Okay.
Yep, no singing.
The Dry Fasting Club founder Yannick has stated carbs are healthy and that gluconeogenesis is not optimal for health. Can we send Ted after him?
Send me a URL to such a video making such claims in my email, preferably. And before you do that, make sure the video you want me to respond to is 15 minutes or less in length. Otherwise, I can't do it. It's too long. Yep.
But you gave kilo per gram protein. Person took it as pounds.
Which person?
I don't know, probably a person that asked not long ago. Anyhow, it's per kilo.
It's 2 grams per kilo.
Can you elaborate more on the benefits of eating 1 meal a day? Day versus 2. Is there any instances where 2 would be better?
Yes. For the most part, the benefits are that it seems to be closer to a genetically selected for pattern of eating. At no point in our history prior to the agrarian revolution did we ever sit down 3 or 4 or 5 times a day to eat food. That's ridiculous. We've never done anything remotely similar to that. The reason that we do it nowadays, those of us that do that, is because of the large intake of contraindicated carbohydrates in the diet, which tend to cause an aberrant response in the blood glucose such that a person ends up going lower and lower and lower for a number of years, eating more and more and more, and then suddenly those scales tip and they become a fat bastard and have diabetes and stuff. And that's why that happens.
And then you have people like me who cannot eat enough protein in one go, which would be better off maybe eating twice per day, unless you want to be protein deficient over time.
Yes, there are those that until we can get a situation under control that isn't ideal or whatever, might be indicated. The other thing is that every time you eat food of any kind, there is an inflammatory response. So why don't we minimize that to once a day and not do it 4 or 5 times a day?
Also, I want to argue for the other side here.
Devil's advocate.
I have had many people coming to me and saying, I can't lose weight, can you help me? And they've been on OMAD and doing, a lot of intermittent fasting. If that's you can't lose weight, you need to start eating more often and eating more.
Okay. Do they all talk like that, though?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go. Pim's clients, that's how she sees you. Not really. We're very grateful for those of us that trust us enough to consult with us on things.
Yeah, but my point is that if you're doing it, it's not working, and you still have fat, you need to do the opposite. So for those people, it would be better to eat 2 or maybe 3 times per day even.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more question by the looks of it.
Good.
How much time in sun a day would you recommend? Do you think sunglasses would ever be necessary?
During the day, sunglasses are never a necessary thing. Unless you're somewhere unnatural for a human, like out on the water, and there's a lot of light splashing back up off the surface of the water that you're on. That can be, maybe you're welding, maybe you're in the snow and you need some snow blindness protection. But in a normal, natural situation for a human being, daytime sunglasses, no, not a good idea. How much time in the sun would you recommend? I would ideally like to see a person spend several hours a day outside of the absolute hottest part of the day where the sun is most directly overhead, during the summer at least, if that's at all possible. I think a couple of hours is good.
Also, where are you located?
Yes.
How strong is the sun?
Yes.
So many factors to consider.
Yes. Also, that's 2 questions. So now we need to charge Matthew 5 times for 2 questions. So please,
I can see on
Matthew.
that chat that there are lots and lots of comments below this one, but this one doesn't update right now. So
okay, click where it says top chat there at the top there and make it live chat and see if that helps. All messages are visible.
Already have. So now I don't know where we were anyway.
Somewhere there.
I think we were there.
There you go. That's where we were. You're right. The answers remain the same.
Yes.
It's like the song remains the same, only less tuneful.
Okay, here you go. You get another one. When all the bad bacteria is nibbling on your colon as they die, can that cause bleeding or permanent damage?
The first part, yes. The second part depends on how long they're doing it for and how much scarring ends up in there that isn't reversed thereafter via, for example, CD34 adult stem cells, which you can increase the circulation of in your body by taking the Cerule product, Stem Enhance Ultra. We suggest the best thing to do is have a wellness pack of Stem Enhance Ultra, Cyactive, the anti-inflammatory, and Plasma Flow, the blood flow optimizer, as a wellness pack. The next 15 people that join my organisation as an IBO on a 3-product fast start pack will win a prize. I've just decided that just now.
What's the prize?
And I'll make it up. It'll be a cash sum. Which if 15 people join my organisation directly, my organisation as an IBO member on a fast start pack with 3 or more products, and then they put their auto ship in starting the month after that. If you join up in that way, if 15 of you do it, one of you will win $2,000. There you go.
There you go.
As a my own personal introductory offer to join my organisation as an IBO.
Very nice.
It might set you free financially. You never know. All you have to do is, again, the secret to Sir All is it's not a secret. Tell people that it exists and where they can get it from. In my case, if you want to get it from me, you go to the link, which is underneath in the show notes. There's a Sir All link directly there, which will take you directly there. Or you can click that bit.ly/link. And then that'll take you, there's a link off to that on that page. Hello, Fluffy. Her Royal Highness Professor Fluffy. Look at the state of you. You need a haircut too.
Yes, all of them.
It's the middle of winter and it's cold, so we thought maybe we'll let them be unkempt for a bit. Isn't it, Fluffy?
They don't wake me up as much at night because they're not cold. That helps. Right,
Yes.
we need to finish now because I've been drinking so much I need a break here.
Oh, right. Okay.
My kidneys are working overtime with this fucking...
Doing some stuff.
Not refeeding, unfeeding.
Right. Okay.
So there you go.
All right, so Harry's on, I guess, at 1:30.
Yep, he said so in
Right.
1 hour,
In about an
minus
hour.
5 minutes.
So
6.
everybody go and watch Harry's stream if you want to learn about motherfucker Gene and taurine and stuff.
Steak and eggs.
Yes. And steak and eggs and steak. That's what we will have for breakfast. Delicious.
And next week, you get the Invisible Penis song. So don't miss it.